We are live.
Good afternoon, Crimson and Blue Chips family. Hopefully, you are well fed, well rested, and ready for more football. Really, Thanksgiving is kind of the beginning of the football weekend. And obviously, on this here podcast, that means Iron Bowl weekend. Just over 24 hours from now, Auburn visits Alabama, number one Alabama, for a lot at stake. So you guys probably know all that at this point, so we won't dig into it too much more. We do want to kind of just hang out with you guys today. We figure people are need a little break from the Black Friday shopping. We did have a couple requests to come on, so here we are. Producer Kev is alongside. I'm John Garcia Jr. Just in case you're a first time guest with us here at Crimson and Blue Chips. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe immediately, like right now. Like hit it. No. Hit it. Thank you. Thank you. Hit the bell, as Kevin always says. Hit the bell. Get notifications every single time we come on to talk Alabama football, to goof off, or do something in between. So that's what we're gonna do pretty much today. Kev, let's. Kev's like that's what we do every day.
Nah,
Let's.
did you just look who's the first person in the chat? By the way,
Oh, I didn't. I don't have it pulled up yet.
you don't have it pulled up. It's our
Probably not a
it's
good
our good
job.
it's our good friend Wanye Banks.
Oh boy.
He said
Wanye.
cool shirt. Heard those dudes ball.
Oh yeah. Yeah, chaosandpain.com. Get you get you beefed up, ready to rock.
Get you
All of
yoked.
that. Yoked up. Not that I am, but
Could be.
yeah. I got a canister here somewhere, but can't find it. So welcome, Wayne. Wanye, as they say. So yeah, we're just gonna hang out today. Obviously, laid back, belly full edition of the show. Kev, what y'all have?
Well, we did Thanksgiving last weekend because we in this house had to work last night, and
That's terrible.
then the old ball and chain had to work Black Friday this morning, so she was up early for Black Friday. So we didn't. We did Thanksgiving last weekend. You know, the traditional, the turkey, the uh, the ham, all the fixings, and all that good stuff.
Is turkey overrated?
Yes,
Yeah, right.
ham all the way.
Ham over turkey.
Ham.
Turkey's just like it just has to be there, right? That's just
I
it's
think it's
more of
just
a
it's one of those
it's like a
like
decoration.
yeah, it's one of those things that like people just assume that turkey, so Thanksgiving it's got to be a turkey. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Did you get any of the air fried turkey? Says Banks. Did you get any of the Latin flavor with your Thanksgiving?
Oh, our Thanksgiving's always a fusion of life
I know.
between Southern culture and Latin culture,
I'm super
and
jealous.
it's all very caloric and glorious.
I'm super
And yeah,
jealous.
we had we did have a turkey. We also had, of course, pork because that's
Absolutely.
daily life in Cuban culture. We had the mojo marinated pork, which is an acidic marinade that makes everything amazing. You could pretty much just put it on French fries if you wanted to.
Guys.
Um, we had that, of course. We had a good mix though. We had a great mix. So with for every turkey and deviled egg side of the coin, we had roasted pork and platanito maduro. We had a bunch of stuff. So we had a good time. We had a good time. There was plenty of leftovers, and we're going to be eating on that for quite some time. But it was really nice. I actually right after Grace, I had the Bluetooth speaker
Yeah.
um, hidden in the dining room so nobody could see it, and I played the viral beans, greens, potato, tomato. So I had my abuela out there dancing. My sisters were dancing. It was cool. It was kind of a random moment.
I'm gonna need you
Uh,
to send some pork back with the mother-in-law so that I can have some.
we can do that. We can do that. We can get some pork back to you up in the Carolinas. It was good. It was really good. Little sister made her corn casserole. We had the green bean casserole. Um, just everything you could think of. Sweet potato casserole. Just blending country and Cuban is pretty much perfect. It's like my fantasy draft of food.
Yeah.
So that's what we enjoyed, and that's what we're going to continue to enjoy pretty much all weekend as we watch a lot of games. And that's what we did yesterday. There were some pretty big ones. And as we cycle it back to Bama here in the conversation, these guys had a big game. And a Bama guy who plays for these guys had a pretty big game as well. So Amari Cooper, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, including a couple of sprints he won against fellow Alabama grad, HaHa Clinton Dix, who I don't think he's had a great year, but Amari Cooper has with the Cowboys at least. So big day for him. And then in the early game, big day for Eddie Jackson, who going into that Cowboys game had more touchdowns defensively than Amari Cooper had as a wide receiver. Jackson had his 3rd defensive touchdown of this year yesterday, and it was basically a game sealer for the 2nd straight week. So Eddie Jackson is proving to be literally the most clutch defensive performer in the NFL if you look at the last month or so. So that's a testament to him, and that's that wide receiver in him. He was a wide receiver in high school more so than a defensive back, and that was one of the things we really highlighted and liked about his game coming out. He was a two-way guy, ball skills on deck, and that's why you saw him play corner and safety successfully at Alabama. So he had 3 touchdowns at the end of his game yesterday. Then Coop got back out in front of him with his 2-touchdown performance. But Julio Jones, despite a very good game, did not get in the box late against the Saints. The Falcons got blown out again because they're terrible. And Julio was prevented from the end zone. There was actually a couple of Bama on Bama crimes in that game. Julio fumbled once. Ridley fumbled once. Really wasn't a good day for those Bama receivers. But how cool for Bama fans to stroll into Iron Bowl weekend and watch probably the 3 greatest wide receivers in program history back to back to back, and then get a defensive touchdown from a recent champion and a guy who's underappreciated, I would say, Eddie Jackson. Even still, now Bama fans I think are going back like, oh man, he was kind of the Josh Jacobs of these last few Alabama teams. More
He
of
was
those
he was on my draft steals article that I wrote.
Yeah, huge draft steal. What, 3rd round?
4th round.
4th round. Yeah, I mean he was coming off of a broken leg, but there was 3 years of tape on that kid playing all over the secondary, and he did it very successfully. So he's one of those that is a flag bearer for the non-5 stars who could still come in and play early and still come in and make a huge impact over a long period of time. So cool to see Eddie Jackson pretty much balling out of control in the NFL. So cool for Bama fans. You got that on Thanksgiving. You got the food either during or before one of these games because it was pretty much football all day. And then obviously today's kind of the get your shopping done, get your chores done, whatever you got to do, clean up after the family, what have you, to prepare for Iron Bowl Saturday. So, Kev, in that light, where do we want to go with the conversation in regards to the Iron Bowl? We've had some time to marinate on with some mojo marinade, by the way. We had some time to marinate on our picks, on our analysis going into this one. We all picked Alabama to cover, which sounds unbelievable, but we literally on Wednesday were trying to find ways that Auburn could have an advantage in this game. So is there anything changed as you've kind of sat on it for another 48 hours in regards to Bama hosting Auburn, number 1 versus unranked for bragging rights in the state championship? Let's call it that. Let's make it seem like Auburn has something at stake.
Listen, yeah, we'll give them at least something to play for. As we talked about it on Wednesday, we both struggled to find positives in the for Auburn all the way. We tried to find it, but as I wrote my picks and I was writing my my Alabama Auburn preview, I thought maybe the one bright spot for the Auburn team would be that front 4 for Auburn. We know that with the injury to Deontay Brown and that kind of thing, that the offensive line has looked a little different back, with Lester Cotton playing guard. So I think that maybe that's going to be the bright spot for Auburn is that front 4. I think I think they can get some pressure on Tua in some situations, and not that it's gonna really matter, but I think that might be the the one shining spot for the Auburn Tigers.
Yeah, that's what they would have to. I think that group has to.
They
If
have
that is the only fringe strength, that group has to maximize that strength and flash it and show it all game long. But again, the hard part is that even if you stop the running game, now, I mean, Bama's okay with it almost. I mean, Nick won't tell you that, but Loxley will. I mean,
Go ahead
this
and
is a.
stop it because we'll sling it.
I read an article. Jonah Williams has been cooking a lot.
Amazing,
On
man.
his Instagram, it's like Kevin's dream, and they did an article about the cooking and all that. It was, a fluffy article for Thanksgiving and intertwined football and rivalry and all this, kind of easy to write stuff. But within it, he talked about just the camaraderie the O line has with Tua and just how different this year has been. And even Jonah Williams, the captain of the offensive line, the guy who's going to get drafted first, the guy who's been the best offensive lineman in college football probably for 2+ years now. He says it's just different. Now you don't have to wear down a defense and go 12 plays, 8 minutes off the clock, old school Bama style. And that's still great. And a lot of fans would like to see it. Heck, I love that. I would love to see that more. But the fact that you don't have to go win games like that, even rivalry games, even SEC games, even games that are supposed to be emotionally charged and things like that, the fact that you don't have to go do that just makes a world of difference for everybody, including that offensive line. Keeps everybody fresh, everybody focused, and to know that even if you wanted to try to be methodical and it didn't work, now you can go to what has worked all year. This is game 12, so it would be an understatement to say Bama is very comfortable throwing the football basically in any situation. It seems like the longer the third down yardage, the more excited people are. And this sounds crazy, but this is what Alabama has been this year. People are like, oh, 3rd and 11, cool. Like shotgun, 4 wide, like motion, get Irv Smith in there. And it's a free for all. It's a race between the defensive line getting to Tua or a conversion. It seems like that's it. Those are the only two possibilities. And the offensive line has thrived within that, despite, like you said, Kev, the shuffle, some injuries and things that have prevented complete chemistry. So that's the scary part. So even if Auburn's best unit performs as such and stops the run, that weakened secondary has to deal with those 5 guys, with Judy Smith, Ruggs, Irv Smith, Devontae Smith and Irv Smith, obviously, Jalen Waddle, who would be a number 1 receiver on any other team, basically. So it's just something that it really isn't fair. It really isn't fair, and that's with everyone getting a little healthier. Tua is healthy, which I think is everything for this team in terms of its passing game. The offensive line is getting healthier. And again, even if Brown isn't available, Lester Cotton has, 50 starts under his belt without looking it up. 50 starts under his belt. Matt Womack started all of last year. If for some reason Leatherwood isn't ready, although those guys have been making progress. Even Damian Harris is going through his concussion protocol. I believe he's been practicing. So there's really not a whole lot to say, hey, this is how Auburn can get it done. Because even if their best strength is at work, Bama can go to what has really been its strength all year, which is a diverse and dynamic passing game that really prevents you from locking in on any one guy. Jerry Jeudy is the statistical leader in terms of touchdowns, I think yards per catch, and a couple other categories. But go ahead and bracket him, because now everyone else is one-on-one. So I really don't, without having 5 very good man coverage defenders, and a great pass rush, which I don't think Auburn has. I think sometimes we talk about great front 4s and great front 7s and automatically think, well, they're athletic, so they're very good pass rushers. Well, not necessarily. Auburn hasn't been ferocious in the pass rush department this year. So even if you somehow magically crafted 5 great one-on-one DBs and a great pass rush, even still, Alabama has shown enough diversity offensively in the passing game to get you off of that. It forces you to play zone. And that plays into Tua's strengths as well. So it really just is a pick your poison at the simplest form here. So I just I don't know. I don't know how Auburn can pull this one off. On offense, Jarrett Stidham and Ryan Davis do have a great connection, great chemistry, and we've seen them perform well against Alabama. Those two were big pieces in last year's upset, but all of that was predicated off of the run and Kerryon Johnson and the ability to play the old school Bama style and run downhill and wear you down. Kerryon Johnson even made a jump passing touchdown in this game last year because everybody was so geared towards coming downhill to play the run. So I just don't – that guy's not there. That offensive line is not there, and it really hasn't even been the same Jarrett Stidham outside of that Liberty game last week. So there's really not a lot for the Tigers to hang their hat on. So if they're going to win this, it's got to be a classic. We pulled off a huge upset, underdog David versus Goliath deal, like App State, Michigan, or Georgia Southern beating. Who did they beat a couple years ago? Was it Florida? Troy over LSU last year. It has to be one of those games because the talent across the board is not incredibly close, and the strengths of the underdog pretty much play into the top strength of the favorite. And it's at the favorite's place, and it's a revenge game, and it's a rivalry game. Again, like there's no real way to slice this extremely positively for Auburn to contend, much less win the actual game. So that's part of the reason why I pick Alabama to cover, and we all at Crimson and Blue Chips picked Alabama to cover when that doesn't always happen. That didn't even happen last week against the Citadel. So now we are all kind of on the same page thinking Bama is going to cover in this game. I actually talked to Paul Tyson yesterday. I wanted to give him a few days to let his his senior season end and kind of let it marinate a little bit so he could reflect properly. And Paul Tyson's like the most conservative kid out there, and he thinks it's 38-10 Bama. I mean, that's kind of where this game is. So no matter your angle here, it's really tough to imagine a close game beyond that initial emotional charge that you would expect Auburn to tap into. Because again, when you look at the matchups, not a whole lot there. So that's kind of where I'm at too, Kev. Nothing's really changed.
Yeah. I tried, and I really did. I tried to –
we're trying to –
I tried to pull something out because I was like, there's got to be something that Auburn has that I feel like they could take advantage of, but I just couldn't find it. Not with how everything's gone so far this year for Alabama, how it's going, and Tua seems as healthy as he has been since the Arkansas game. So I mean, I think that the stars have aligned for the revenge game, and it's I think it could get out of hand if given the opportunity. So,
Sense of Tumor says Nick Saban won't run the score up like we hope he will. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Does he even have? But see, that's the thing. Like, does he have to try to run it up? Like,
well, I guess in this scenario, you would assume that Bama has a lead and he puts the backups in.
Yeah, but even then, we're still talking he's beating teams without having to. I mean, he's run the score up without running the score up almost all year. I mean,
yeah. Who has he tried to run the score up on? Anybody?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, he kept trying. I feel like he kept trying to score against LSU,
but then Tua was out of there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Is that the hardest question to answer? Will Tua play in the fourth quarter, like our old polls that we used to throw out early this year? Will Tua play in the fourth quarter?
I mean, he's only played in one, right? Two,
I think.
Two. LSU, no.
Mississippi State.
Okay, yeah. So he's played in two this year.
I think he threw one pass in the fourth quarter of LSU.
Yeah, I think you're
one
right.
for one and was out of there.
So yeah, we played in two. So I don't see it happening. Not with Not with Jalen being healthy again. I don't think it happens.
Is he healthy though?
I mean, he played against Citadel.
Yeah, but at Alabama, that doesn't mean he's healthy.
True, but I mean,
he was in there, but
he was in there and he scrambled and threw a touchdown on the run. So
it was like he was gonna run. He was like, "Oh yeah, my ankle."
Let me throw this real quick.
My bad. Yeah, Tua to Smitty or Jalen to Smitty.
Yeah, so I mean, I think I think he's healthy enough to play fourth quarter, and I think it'll happen. Might even see some Mac Jones.
Oh snap!
It's like every week I'm like, all right, can we just get to Mac Jones time? So just
Mac 10.
I just want 10. We got the one sling this year. I want another Mac Jones slinging the pill for a touchdown.
I'm sure he'd take it in the Iron Bowl.
Yeah, for sure.
You happy with that one?
Definitely. But yeah, so and then on top of that everything with the way we think the game's gonna go, and then you add in this list of people that list of recruits / commits that are gonna be there, and now you add in a whole nother element to this game because you have so many kids, targets, big names out there that are gonna be at this game. So you definitely want to put on a show. Like,
you ever wonder how much recruiting goes into play calling and personnel? Like, you ever wonder how much Nick Saban would say, or not even Nick Saban, just a head coach in general would say, all right, let's get some more freshmen in there. Or, you got the number one running back in the country on campus like Alabama will have tomorrow, and you say, let's go ahead and run it a little bit more. Like, let's make it a little more 50-50 with it. I mean, you just wonder. They'll never admit it regardless. But
yeah.
you just wonder how much that truly would play into it. If Trevor Lawrence or Tua Tagovailoa is a quarterback visiting your school as a recruit, don't you throw it more? Don't you play a little bit more exotic football in the passing game? I would.
Yeah, look at last week. Go look at the Florida State game. Florida State had Jaden Hazelwood and Trey Sanders on campus, and they had a nice
different. I didn't watch.
They had a nice mix of run and pass because they had the number one receiver and number one.
How does Florida State get the number one receiver and running back on campus?
I don't know. Willie Taggart must be.
They're like, look, man, you can play tomorrow. So
you can play today if you want to. Like,
just come hang out.
We'll put you in a jersey and we'll say you're such and such. That's a walk on. Like,
yeah, I mean, if FSU could somehow get Trey Sanders, they would get the number one or two back in the country twice in 3 years.
Back to back.
Yeah, twice in 3 years, and obviously Alabama, same situation. If they get Trey Sanders, they would have signed the number one running back twice in 3 years. And some people had Damon Harris as the number one running back his year coming out as well. So this is, I don't know. I like trends. I was just looking up Julio Jones' stats. He has 6 straight 100-yard games. Like, pretty good. Pretty good. Is he – I mean, I saw a poll about – I know I'm switching gears here, but we're just hanging out.
Yeah.
I saw a poll about the pure wide receivering. Who was the best ever at Alabama? And I still think it's always Julio, just because of his freakish talent and the whole combination of size, speed, all of that. But so people were making the case for Judy. People were making the case for Ridley. People were making the case for other guys. Is that prisoner of the moment? Like, oh, well, Jerry Judy's going crazy this year, so let's put him in there. And then the counter argument is like, well, he has Tua. And Julio definitely never had a Tua. Nobody has. Where does Amari Cooper? People forget. I feel like Amari Cooper's the forgotten one in all of this. I think the perception of him not being the most consistent NFL receiver has flooded his college reputation because Amari Cooper was ridiculous. Like the Amari Cooper we saw yesterday playing for those guys. Was the Amari Cooper we saw at Alabama. And he was playing with Blake Sims and AJ McCarron, guys who aren't Tua. So
And we've looked that stat line up before about the percentage of Blake Sims passing yards.
Oh my gosh.
That year that went to Cooper. I think
Cooper had like 1,700 yards that year when the entire country knew that 9 was getting the rock on 3rd and 6 every time, and they still made it work. It was 50+% of the entire passing production, right?
It was something ridiculous. I know
Might have been close to 60%.
I know we've looked at it before, and that it was just astronomical, the numbers.
People forget that year that he had and the career. I mean,
what year was that?
That had to be 14 or 15.
2014. All right, I'm gonna look it up because I remember that. Like it's like it's 50% at least.
Yeah, because I don't think Coop overlapped with Ridley, and Ridley was 15, 16, 17. So it had to be the 2014 season.
I gotta fix my computer because it.
You know you're hanging out when Kev's talking about his computers.
When I Google search, it switches to Bing, and I don't know why it does that because I hate Bing.
I didn't know Bing was still there. What up, Bing?
Yeah.
Happy Black Friday, Bing.
Yeah, you got
already on discount.
You got to mention Black Friday. All right, so let's see. Blake Sims had 3487 passing,
which is still the record, I believe.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because I think Tua broke the touchdown record, but not the yardage.
The touchdown record, not the yardage record. All right.
And the touchdown record was it AJ or was it Blake?
Touchdown is AJ.
Touchdown was AJ, yardage is Blake, and it'll all be Tua's in a couple minutes.
Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. So 3487 for Blake Sims in passing yards. 28.
Another underappreciated guy. That was a great year. Lane train.
28 touchdowns. All right. And let's see. Amari Cooper. All right, so Blake Sims completed 252 passes. Amari Cooper caught 124.
So he caught half the passes, period.
124 receptions for 1727 and 16 touchdowns.
It's ridiculous. Just ridiculous. So
you're looking at over half the touchdowns and right at half the yardage as well.
Wow.
That's insane.
I mean, more than half the touchdowns. Half of the completions. That's the scariest one. The yardage, fine. Like Coop could take a slant 80 yards. We all know that. We saw it yesterday twice. But the completions, the sheer volume that this man was hauling in from Blake Sims was amazing. I mean, Lane Kiffin could showcase that top guy because we saw it with Calvin Ridley thereafter. Lane can get the top guy the ball. No matter where he's playing, wide receiver, running back, quarterback, what have you. Those numbers are crazy. I don't think we see anything like that again. That's got to be the Bama record for receptions, right? 124? That's ridiculous.
He caught 124. The next closest had 40.
Yeah. So he tripled the next guy.
Yeah,
and I'm sure the stagger was similar with Ridley the following year because that's or not the following year, the year after that. Ridley's sophomore year, his numbers were outrageous. So that's what Coop was, and I don't think that number gets touched. I mean, this year nobody will. I mean, half of that would be an accomplishment this year. That's first of all, that's how big play the offense has been, and that's also obviously how Tua can spread the football around, and just how many good wide receivers Alabama has. I mean, you could make the argument Bama still didn't have a true number one wide receiver. There is no default 3rd and 6 guy like Coop was.
2016, Ridley had 72 catches.
Okay, so
the next closest was 54.
Okay, so that was a little closer than I thought it would be. But my point is 124 is ridiculous. That's my point. Nobody on these receivers, these great receivers that Alabama has now, career may not get to 124. No. Any of them. Judy, Smith, Ruggs, Waddle maybe because he's got an extra year, and he'll have Tua for 2 years, and whoever else after that, maybe even his little brother. But That's just those numbers are crazy, and it was like people forget about that. Right? It wasn't that long ago. That's how spoiled Bama fans are, but it wasn't that long ago. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's 2016 Ridley caught 72 and Stewart caught 54.
Yeah. Good old Ardarius. Fultondale, stand up. We got a question in the chat, Kev. Do we think Alabama's offense still hasn't shown its full repertoire so far? You can make that argument too. I mean, there hasn't been as many reps with all of the ones, all of them, and at full strength because it's been the last month or so with Tua banged up to whatever level we want to call it. You haven't seen as much boot. You haven't seen as much designed QB run. You really haven't seen any designed QB run.
Yeah.
He's improvised a few times, particularly on third down, but you haven't seen a lot of Tua pulling it either. So you want to condense the playbook has been with Tua banged up, and that's not even getting into how one-sided a lot of these games have been. So, how much do you want to show in the Iron Bowl versus the SEC championship game?
Yeah.
That's obviously another topic for conversation. But we've seen Loxley build things in and slowly start to show them, whether it's orbit motion, traditional option looks. We've gotten to see a little bit of everything. He can play as wide as he wants to play call, I should say, but he could also go the other way. So I think we've seen hints at it here and there, but I mean, you could really make the argument that we haven't seen the depths of it just yet. Again, Bama just hasn't been in certain situations, and they're holding something back. How much I don't know, but there has to be something being held back by Mike Loxley and company.
Yeah, so talking about that and Tua playing fourth quarters and all of that, my next question comes, do you think Alabama starts leaving him in to build the Heisman campaign? Because we've seen the Heisman campaign release for him. We've seen the Heisman campaign release for Murray and all these other guys.
Kyler Murray needs to win some games. Like, they got to win out for him to win that, to be considered to win that award. I don't think that's the case for Bama and Tua. I don't think it's necessarily apples to apples there. I don't know. How much does Nick care about the Heisman?
Yeah.
I mean, the Derrick Henry year, though, I will say the Derrick Henry year at the end of that Auburn game, that man got like 100 carries straight. Like, it was just like Derrick Henry left, Derrick Henry right, Derrick Henry power, Derrick Henry counter. I mean, it was a lot. Like, I was tired watching him.
That's what I'm saying.
Is that a Heisman moment, by the way? Heisman moments are just
like we've said earlier, Heisman moments are overrated, and I don't think there should be a singular Heisman moment.
My boy Matt Corral had a Heisman moment yesterday.
Bro, how about that? Like,
who was surprised to see that from Matt Corral?
Not
Nobody
me.
should raise their hands. Nobody. Matt Corral is the spirit animal of what Mac Jones wants to be.
Because first of all, the fact that he was in the game but then the whole thing broke out, and my man was out there getting his helmet ripped off. Like, can we really say we were surprised at that? Like, your first significant action of the year, and you almost get tossed. Like,
yeah, Mississippi State, or excuse me, Ole Miss fired their DC today, which
and
water is wet.
Yeah,
Thanksgiving food is good.
Yeah, but yeah, my favorite.
He lasted this long. Congrats to him.
Yeah, that was a good run. My favorite thing of the night was seeing the Mississippi State band play Baby Shark.
Oh man, just Ole Miss has just left so many things just easy to do, just easy jokes to run into. Just leaving the door wide open. Come on in. Here's one joke available for you. Here's another.
That awful mascot that they came out with this year. Like,
did you see when the players got ejected and they were walking into the locker room? Then they showed the kind of the hallway shot. At Alabama it says like play like a champion or be a champion or whatever. At Ole Miss it's like shark holograms on the wall. It's like a fake aquarium.
That's
in
awesome.
there. Yeah. So
I still say that they should have went with Admiral Akbar as their as their as
at
their
least it would
mascot.
have been funnier. I mean,
Yeah,
everybody would call everything a
it's a
trap
trap.
game,
It's a trap.
but yeah, that would have at least been funnier because the land shark thing
And
hadn't quite worked out.
And it's not even like it's a good looking costume. It's an awful
Oh, awful.
square shark head.
Like if you're gonna go for obscure, just go all the way. Don't half-ass it. Like be the Philadelphia Flyers in hockey, who
bro, that thing's amazing.
they made Gritty, and he just looks like a
no one even knows
alien monster crackhead something,
like
all in one, and it's great.
They went to Ancient Aliens meets like Tyrone the Crackhead on that thing. Like,
Tyrone Bigum's inspired costume.
They went,
but see, they went all in with it. You gotta do it that way. If it's not conventional or traditional, you got to go all in with whatever direction you're trying to go into. And Ole Miss didn't do that. The Philadelphia Flyers did, and that's why Gritty's already one of the most popular mascots in the country. And everyone forgets about the land shark until they play like crap, and people can make fun of it. So, yeah, you gotta go all in one way or the other there. Shout out to Gritty. It's hockey season for those who don't know.
Yeah,
the NHL is going on.
It's good stuff.
Kev's got some hockey experience.
Yeah, it was my first sport. I played hockey before I played football.
What position did you play?
I was a defenseman.
Yeah, well, of course you were.
Yeah.
You'd been a good goalie. You were flexible back in the day. Good athlete.
Yeah, well, I gave it a shot one time. It didn't work out well.
Then you saw those like 120-mile-per-hour frozen pucks coming at you. You're like, nope, we good.
Yeah, it wasn't a good look. I tried. I did try because I was like, I want to try that because I was a catcher in baseball, but I was like, no, this isn't for me. So,
yeah.
But yeah,
those are brave souls. Brave souls.
Hockey.
Yeah. So, if you're a defense coordinator in the market, Ole Miss may be the spot for you. You will have a bevy of 3 stars to deploy against some of the top offenses in America. It's like they got to run an infomercial.
That's a pretty good
apply here.
That's a pretty good sales plug.
Apply here, and then on the offensive side of the ball, you won't get nearly as much support as you thought you were going to get all year. And then all those receivers are leaving also, but you probably shouldn't put that in the ad because then it just makes it harder.
We should cut that. We should cut that little piece right there and send it to Matt Luke. See what he has. Let's see if he.
Hey, all these great receivers, including probably the receiver who's going to be taken first, won't be there. This offense won't quite be the same. Although Matt Corral is a boss. Now we'll shift to the defense where you have minimal talent against the SEC West. Good luck. Signed, Matt Luke. Hotty toddy. There's always the Grove, right?
Yep. That's about the only thing they got going for them right now.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, Timmy G wants us to start over. So.
What? Start over.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome now. Timmy, we haven't said anything, actually.
Yeah, we haven't really said anything of substance. Mook wants us to talk about the visitors list, so let's actually.
The visitors. Pretty good list.
Let's actually start to do something of substance here.
Okay, all right.
So, visitors list for the weekend confirmed the 3 from IMG.
Yeah, I don't know why there was any question.
Yes, Nolan Smith, Trey Sanders, and Evan Neal. Sorry, had a brain fart. So
the IMG trio.
The IMG trio. If you haven't seen it, I tweeted out. It was on Instagram. I put up the edit. Dominate. It was like dominate together or something. Super Bama-ish. I figured they would try to sell them to get as a package deal, and they did. So yeah, it was like dominate together. Which I mean, I from looking at their socials, I feel like those 3 seem to hang out more than the rest of the I've seen.
Tight. They're tight. Nolan and Evan were the captains for IMG offensively and defensively. Trey's not that guy, but obviously his team respects him a bunch, and he's kind of the life of the IMG party, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Well, Nolan too, but they're all very close in different ways, and playing together would basically only be possible at Alabama. I'm sure Georgia would take Trey and and Evan as well, but it's just not going to happen for those guys. Georgia is actually hosting Noah Cain, the other IMG running back. They're kind of new to that party, so that could be an interesting wrinkle against Auburn and Texas and Penn State, who are in that Noah Cain sweepstakes. But these guys, this is the only. Say what?
I mean, I was gonna say, in all honesty, landing Noah Cain is not a bad thing. I mean,
No, that was a good back, man. Great feet for a big guy. But my point is, Alabama is the only school that has a shot to get all three, and they all happen to be visiting during the same weekend. So it's not a big surprise to see Alabama pitching that. Hey, you're the three highest rated guys from IMG. You're visiting together. Why don't you play together? You're all signing next month. Y'all can enroll in January, be suite mates, all of those things. So not a surprise to see Bama using that tactic, because Alabama will be the only school that all three visit at the same time. I think official or otherwise, but of course this will be an official visit weekend for all three of them, which is just about the biggest thing you could hope for if you are Alabama. So the visitor list though is pretty wild. It's pretty wild. Nakobe Dean. There's big officials and unofficials. Nakobe Dean is on there. Clay Webb on there. Ismail Sopsher on there. Just about every commitment you can think about. I say it every year, but that's always the undercovered element of recruiting coverage. Y'all know clicks make the business work, and most people want to know where the uncommitted kids are going or who's going to flip. The kids who are solid and committed, they don't really get covered, but sometimes there's underlying situations going on with those guys. So to get almost every regional or sub-regional commit back on campus is big. And then you're getting some officials out of the commits who are further away. Antonio Alfano is going to make his official visit. Keelan Robinson is coming down from Washington, D.C. We haven't seen him in Tuscaloosa, I don't think, more than once this year. He's kind of he's the Amari Cooper of this class. He's forgotten about a little bit in the conversation. So this is a big weekend. Basically, you can create the phrase 5-star weekend and there's double digits. Oh, a bunch of Bama commitments returning to town. There's 24. Prospects committed elsewhere? These are all the catchy headlines we use in the business. Prospect committed elsewhere visiting Tuscaloosa. There's like a dozen of them as well, including a bunch committed to Auburn, including the 2 in-state wide receivers that are worthy of keeping an eye on, George Pickens and Javarius Johnson, despite him not holding that offer. You can create a headline. Oh, elite underclassmen visiting. They will. In-state, out-of-state. 5 stars from out of state, underclassmen McKinley Jackson and Chris Braswell, the kid from St. Francis Academy up in DC, who's teammates with current verbal commitment Shane Lee, former teammates with Ayabi Anoma, Darian Dalcourt, the O-line commitment. Speaking of forgotten guys, is his teammate now. There's a strong Bama vibe to him. So I wouldn't rule out underclassmen coming in and maybe committing. I, in fact, think there's a certain underclassman more likely to commit tomorrow than certain upperclassmen. So I think it's just going to be a huge weekend beginning today for those who are done with high school ball, like the IMG trio. I believe they arrived today. So no matter what category, headline, spin you want to throw on this thing, it's huge for Alabama. So it'll be a momentous weekend. I'm excited to see just how much Bama can push and seal the deal for some guys, senior or otherwise. I think we get so wrapped up in 2019, and rightfully so. A lot of 5 stars on the board, a lot of them visiting this weekend, minimal spots left, all of the pretty much typical Alabama drama going into signing day, holding on to the number 1 class, all of that. But 2020 is quietly piling up. 5 in-state kids already committed in 2020. I think that list gets to 6. That's my final hint on that one. And then out-of-state targets coming in as well. I mean, this is a budding group. Number 1 class in the SEC in 2020. looking to be number one in the country in 2020. I think Bama's going to put a lot of effort into that this weekend as well. And what makes it doable goes back to those commits. I mean, heck, any other school in the country would be talking about their quarterback commits coming back to campus. Like at Florida State, they're like, Sam Howell is coming back, and he's going to recruit. Bama has two, and they're both in-states, and they're both kids that everybody in the recruiting world knows, in Talia Tagovailoa and Paul Tyson. They're going to be back on campus as well. Pierce Quick, who's a ferocious recruiter, will be back on campus as well. So don't undervalue the commits or the underclassmen visiting this weekend. They won't get the headlines that some of these other guys will, but don't forget about them because they're very important in building this thing out. Kev, did I miss any of the big names, or what direction should we go about talking about the rest of these guys?
I mean, some of the other, really the main one that I feel like you left out. I mean, Noah Pola Gates.
Oh, the West Coasters. I always forget about them.
Yeah, that's the DB target out of Arizona. He'll be there. And so I think that
I'd put him on commitment watch, man. I think
that's
I think it's possible.
I think he's my 2019 person to be on commit watch, just because I think that they're looking to solidify the rest of that defensive backfield class, and with the, like we say, the limited spots, I think that they're going to try to see if he'll pop. So I would put Pola Gates on commitment watch, and I probably will. I'll probably put him on Twitter alert this weekend.
Twitter alert that man, son.
So
make it happen.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. Let's see. I haven't heard. I know Nakobe's supposed to be there, but I haven't heard about the other. I haven't heard about Henry To'oTo'o. I feel like this was a game he would probably make to Bama, but I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't think he's a December guy though. So
yeah,
I think he could be a guy that extends the process. I think I could be wrong on that, but the West Coast guys are going to factor into this thing somewhere. Whether it's Kayvon Thibodeau, Henry To'oTo'o, Ty Robinson's making his official visit this weekend. Kev mentioned Noah Pola Gates. The West Coasters are going to have a say in this thing for Alabama. So I would say even those guys get undercovered a little bit because we're just not as familiar. It's a little easier to talk about guys we've seen 2, 3, 4, 50 times, like Talia and Nolan Smith and Trey Sanders, et cetera, and Kobe Dean even. We just haven't seen those guys as much. We're lacking familiarity there. But we'll be honest about it because that's what we do here. But don't think those guys aren't priorities because we're not spending an hour breaking them down. So the outer region guys will be big this week. And again, any segment of the population you want to go to, any phrase, hype deal that you want to construct applies this weekend. So that's how good the official visit weekend will be. That's how good the unofficial visit weekend will be. Double-digit 5 stars across 2019 and 2020. Remember, there are no 2021 5 stars, but there are guys ranked that high that will be visiting Alabama in 2021. We just hadn't put 5 stars by anybody in that class yet because it's probably a little early. But we're not too far away from that, though. So if you really look at this list and look at not only players that will end up playing at Alabama, but players who will end up as 5 stars, I think that number could be well over a dozen in terms of the guys who will be 5 stars when all is said and done in their respective classes. And the guys who will play at Alabama, you're talking 3 dozen, I think. 3 dozen visitors this weekend will suit up for the Crimson and White at some point. Just think about that. Yes, 2 dozen are already committed, so that's kind of a cop-out, but a dozen additional guys. Or maybe more. You get 40 guys, 40 guys, let's say, out of this group that is visiting could potentially play at Alabama. And I think at least 3 does. So take a snapshot of this, send it to Freezing Cold Takes, and say, hey, this idiot said that 36 of these guys will play at Alabama. And we'll see. We'll see. 2 years from now, I'm confident that I will be right. just think about that if you're an Alabama fan. 36 guys, a lot of guys. That's a lot of players, and a lot of those guys will have 5 stars next to their name, and the rest will pretty much be 4 stars because we're talking about Alabama here. So no matter how you look at how big this weekend is, the severity of the weekend, the importance of the weekend, the timing of this weekend with the early signing period, 3+ weeks away, 4 weeks away, whatever it is, it's huge. It's huge for Alabama off of the field. And Bama has the luxury of all these commitments coming back and the biggest recruiting staff in the country to do so. I think there was a question earlier about what could they do? Let me try to find it here.
It says with I know which one you're talking about. It's talking about okay, yeah. Is there restrictions on it was talking about restrictions on the coaching staff.
Yeah, there aren't. A lot of these, if you're not an on-field coach, you have to limit your restriction to in-person on-campus contact. And obviously when these kids are visiting Alabama, they're on campus. So if you're not an on-field coach, like Butch Jones, for example, you can't deal with kids who aren't in Tuscaloosa on your campus. But obviously these 5, 6 dozen recruits will be on campus. So Butch Jones can recruiting prowess this weekend. Who is writing that story? Kev, you need to write that. Butch Jones is going to seal the deal for some kid starting now. Boom. Shout out to the flat top.
Oh boy.
But that's the advantage Alabama has.
Yeah.
That's the advantage Alabama has. All of those guys can work cohesively this weekend, because it's hard. People don't understand how hard it is to put on a game day weekend with a lot of recruits. I mean, these coaches have to win a game. They have to prepare for a game. And let's not forget about the current Alabama players that they have to continue to prepare through game day. So those non-on-field coaches, the analysts, the recruiting staff, the support staff, the hostesses, all of these things, the recruiting office in general, really have to work together to pull it off, because these kids, first of all, these kids need to be entertained because they're kids and ADHD is rampant nowadays. They have to be occupied at all these times with campus tours, jersey presentations, trying them on, taking pictures. And then there has to be this unbelievable organizational movement towards these kids somehow getting time with their position coaches, even though there's a million kids on campus all at the same time, which is why we put such an emphasis on the official visitors, because one, they can start coming in today, which most will, unless they're still playing high school ball, and they can get that time today, and they can get that time on Sunday that the other visitors can't get. Doesn't mean they're going to be ignored on the game day. Heck, they're still lifted up, but they get more time, and that's why we put such an emphasis on those guys, like the IMG trio, like some of those commits coming back to town, like the kids committed elsewhere making visits. Christian Harris, Texas A&M linebacker commitment, is supposed to be visiting this weekend on an official. He was a guy we talked a lot about earlier in the process before he popped to A&M. Louisiana kid, good athlete, new age linebacker, what Bama's looking for at the inside linebacker position. So again, it's not just Dean and To'o. That list has kind of grown, just like it has at running back, just like it has at tight end, just like it has in the secondary. There's a lot of names that we really don't even have time to dig into in terms of why they might be important to Alabama here in the very end. So yes, that support staff, the recruiting staff, Butch Jones and company. I just want to say that Butch Jones and company will have their hands full, and it's not with that orange on. What did the guy in the viral video call it? Puke orange inside of a pumpkin orange. Yeah, it's not that guy. So
like thinking about like hearing you talk about like getting them prepared for the weekend and everything, like can you imagine, and this is no like knock on our coaching staff we had in college, but like could you imagine our coaching staff trying to get together an official visitor weekend while we were preparing for a game?
Yeah, it's kind of a luxury at the smaller school level. You just don't deal with that as much. You'll have recruits at games, but it's a handful. It's a dozen maybe, and they're just there to watch the game, and that's kind of it. But No, I can't imagine
Yeah, exactly,
smaller
right?
schools
Like,
doing it
which
because it's usually saved for the off season, and obviously you play small school ball, you're playing a shorter schedule. If you don't make the playoffs, you're done by now anyway,
like
so you don't have to worry about it. But it's like that's what I'm saying. Like it's really hard to fathom the organizational skill and the spread outness of these coaches occupying these kids. And this is the other thing. It ain't just the kids. It's mom, it's dad. You most kids get two guests, but when you get to official visits, man, the whole family's there sometimes. Everybody shows up. So it is hundreds of people that you have to basically host and entertain for 8 hours while you're coaching and winning and trying to win a football game at your home stadium. Um, so
which is
it's just an unbelievable task, and that's why the coaches who are great recruiters like Nick Saban, you gotta love it. You gotta be immersed into it. You can't half-ass recruiting. I think it shows. I mean, look at Jimbo Fisher at FSU last year. Look at Jim McElwain these last few years. Guys who didn't fully invest into it, it shows. You can't limp through recruiting. You just can't do it. And it's part of the reason why this current Alabama dynasty is so ridiculous because the guy who loves recruiting the most in America happens to be coaching that school. And that's what Nick has done at Alabama. And it's just like it goes back to the first thing he ever said, supposedly, as the story goes. Ask Kirk McNair this story. Um, that's what Nick said to Mal Moore. He said, I may get out coached, but I'm not going to get outworked or out recruited. It's just not going to happen. And we've seen that. But that has to show. You have to show it. So that's what it is for Alabama. It's just quite the undertaking. And obviously they have advantages with the resources and all of that, but you still have to execute it.
yeah.
You can
Going
have
back,
all the great tools at your disposal, but you have to be able to execute as well. It's just like a game plan. It's just like a game plan. You can have all the pieces in place, but you got to go do it. You got to go do it. So it's
talking about
it's really remarkable as he gets older that it's still this organized. This is like a presidential level of organization. No, normal president. Sorry.
and like speaking about the resources and stuff that they have. I mean, this is why we saw that Crimson Standard come out not too long ago, and one of the things that they were doing inside of Bryant-Denny Stadium is they're making a new recruiting banquet hall, pretty much, where they're going to host these recruiting weekends for the parents and everything. Like, that's one of the things that they're adding to Bryant-Denny is that recruiting weekend hosting, pretty much like suite. Like, it's huge, and it's got, the pictures of it, or the renderings of it are even amazing. So I can only imagine what it's going to look like when it's done.
Right.
It's just another resource that Alabama has that some schools might not have. It's
Why? And they just updated the facilities, what, 3, 4, 5 years ago? And now it's time for another update.
yeah.
That's what it is in this age.
They had just updated the Malmore facility when we were there, and now they're updating it again, and they're updating Bryant-Denny, and they're updating the Coliseum. I mean, it's just one of those things that it just constantly is evolving, and that's
Right.
that's part of recruiting now. The facilities is part of recruiting because a lot of these kids want the nice facilities, and they want the fancy locker room, and they want the excuse me, they want this and that, and you got to keep your kids happy.
Yeah, you gotta recruit them to campus, and then you gotta keep them there.
And you got to keep them there. Yeah. So.
Yeah, because they'll just transfer. They'll just leave. They'll just leave. Every day I'm seeing reports. Oh, we've learned that this player has put his name in the transfer portal. I'm like, man, it's rivalry weekend, and y'all are worried about leaving.
Transfer.
Yeah,
So.
crazy. I know we got a question on rivalry weekend, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What are
Mook wants to know about our predictions.
our predictions for rivalry weekend?
Predictions. Unless Mook is throwing some cash on the table.
We're talking about so we're talking straight up predictions.
Straight up predictions. Obviously, we're picking Alabama to cover, so we're picking Alabama to win the game. Yes, we are tomorrow. Michigan, Ohio State. What you got, Kev?
Michigan.
I think Michigan wins very, very tight. So that spread is what, 4.5? Yeah. I think Ohio State could cover the spread, but I think Michigan wins the game. What else we got? Rivalry weekend: Florida State, Georgia Tech. You got those two.
The Florida State's is 6.5 Florida. So straight up, if we're going straight up, Florida.
Yeah, Florida probably wins that game. And Georgia easy over Tech, right?
Oh yeah, Georgia. I don't
think. Yeah.
I think that one was 16, maybe.
That game's going to look like Bama against the Citadel, literally. It's going to look like that. It'll be close early. Game will be slowed down a little bit, and then, oh yeah, talent.
Yeah,
talent usually prevails.
Apple Cup.
Apple Cup's tonight, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think Washington has a good shot in this game. I really do. Washington going into the season perception was Jake Browning and Myles Gaskin and this offense, and it is, veteran laden seniors, all this stuff, but their secondary is very good. And we all know what Washington State wants to do. So I think they can match up, and Minshew hasn't had that game yet. I don't know. I mean, are we really going to talk about Washington State as a playoff contender? I think that conversation ends tonight in the Apple Cup.
I said it 3 weeks ago, and I think Washington State wins this game.
Yeah, I think it'll be close either way, but I think Washington has the tools to get it done. And there are reports of Chris Peterson eyeing that USC job, and what a way to clinch it by defeating the best team in the Pac-12, which is weird to say, Washington State. Was it Sark? Sark was the coach at UW and then went to USC. So USC, if they hire him, and that's just a lazy way of going about it, promoting interim coach to full time and just going to Washington whenever they need another coach. I mean, that's what's happening there. Timmy G wants to know, Blake Barnett goes ham. Yeah, the war on I-4 is today. I think at 4:00 Eastern. That's not that far away from right now. How about how much are Bama fans going to be pumped up to watch Blake Barnett today against UCF to just silence all of the garbage that has come out of Orlando?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they should probably take an interest in that game. You got your man Blake Barnett slinging the pill.
Dual threat, 5-star.
Dual threat, Blake Barnett in the war on I-4, but I think the defending national champions get it done.
God, I-4 sounds terrible right now.
Oh, could you imagine? Oh,
no. I-4 on a random Wednesday night is terrible. I can't imagine on Thanksgiving, Black Friday, any holiday. If y'all have never driven on I-4 near Disney or any of that, oh my gosh, it is always bad, and I literally cannot imagine.
I didn't even realize we had games going on right now.
Yes, Houston, Memphis is playing right now. Iowa, Nebraska is playing right now. Texas, Kansas playing right now. War on I-4 at 3 Central, 4 Eastern, and then the Apple Cup tonight. Or is it Oklahoma, West Virginia tonight? One of those is tonight.
Maybe. Oklahoma, West Virginia, and the Apple Cup are tonight.
Wow, what a great freaking weekend. How am I going to get any regular work done? Family in town, football on 24/7. Good luck.
Yeah.
Friday nights are weird too, man. After Thanksgiving, Mike Leach seems like he's a little bit looser than Chris Peterson, so they probably ate worse. I'm telling you, man, them dogs. Where's it at? Is it in Pullman? It's gonna be cold either way.
It's in Pullman, so
the stashes will be out there. I don't know, man. I don't know. What's that spread? It's got to be tiny.
-2.5.
Yeah, so it's a pick 'em. Yeah, I don't know. I think I picked Washington State in the picks, but
you did.
I'm thinking I'm gonna flip it.
You can't flip it now. It's already posted.
Well, I'm flipping it for the winner straight up. So,
and then you got
28-27 Washington.
And you got Oklahoma in Morgantown
tonight.
Ooh, Morgantown, man.
Kyler Murray searching for a Heisman moment. Has he even had a Heisman moment? Because I feel like all the Heisman moment people are the Kyler Murray people. Am I wrong there?
Yeah.
And they're doing the whole the Kyler knows thing just because he plays baseball. Just because you play football and baseball doesn't mean you're Bo Jackson. Like, I know this is an Alabama podcast, but anybody who thinks anybody alive is close to Bo athletically in those two sports needs to have another drink and go back to sleep from their food coma because it's ridiculous.
Bo Jackson ran a 4.140. Like, get out of my face.
And he's 50 pounds heavier than Kyler.
Yeah, like
has a better arm than Kyler, the quarterback, by the way.
Yeah, like
don't do that. Just why do we always have to go there? Why does we have to live in a world of hyperbole where everything has to be compared to the best ever? Period. Yeah. If it needs to go there, but everything doesn't have to go there. I get it, Oklahoma, but man,
I know.
If you're having to pull a UCF type of campaign, are you a college football blue blood? Let's ask that question. If you have to pull a true outside of the box campaign, other than here's a video of our guy, in case you need to see some highlights with your food, or if you have to go to the next level and create a website and go crazy on the campaign, are you a college football blue blood?
That's a good one. I don't know.
Just saying, I don't know. I don't know because there's a whole lot of UCF going on with Oklahoma right now. Just saying, and they both lose today. What?
Yeah, the fact that they're putting it out there that heavy. I mean, I know Alabama released the Tua video and all that, but I mean, when you're putting out a full spread baseball, Kyler knows. I mean,
come on.
Yeah.
Disrespectful.
It's just it's a little much.
Oklahoma's been hanging out with UCF's athletic director or something. What is that? What
happened? Yeah.
But it should be a great rivalry weekend, man. Great rivalry. Yeah, did we miss any? For the people? I guess we didn't pick the war on I-4. I'm going USF. Blake Barnett, 300 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns.
You always go for it, don't you? Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's the
last one.
Clemson, South Carolina.
Oh, come on. No, what are we picking there? I mean, I got a lot of love for Will Muschamp, defensive guy, but
Notre Dame USC.
Clemson ain't sneezing until the playoff.
Notre Dame USC.
Same thing. USC is the weirdest program in the last 5 years.
The Holy War.
Bama broke them. Bama broke USC, Florida State, I guess Louisville this year. Bama's just breaking people out here.
Yeah, because you got Kentucky, Louisville this week too. 16.5 Kentucky.
Kentucky as an expected winner has disappointed this year.
Yeah, if there would have been no hype for Kentucky, they'd had an amazing year. But now that
they won a few games, they beat Florida, and then stock just started to go up, and they I don't know.
They should
have lost to Missouri.
And then you got the Holy War, BYU, Utah.
I don't know anything about BYU this year, so Utah.
Yeah, I mean they're 8-3, so I'm gonna imagine they're.
Utah's a tough team to go against because they look amazing one week and terrible the next, like nobody else. I mean,
yeah, it's
pretty. They have been a Jekyll and Hyde within themselves this year.
Then you got LSU. Then you got LSU A&M too.
How big of a rivalry is that? Is that real? Like, is that?
I think it's just.
I know regionally it makes sense because of where these schools are located. College Station is Southeast Texas, and Baton Rouge isn't incredibly far from there. I get that. SEC West, all of that. But is this really a rivalry? I mean, LSU's rivals Bama. Let's be honest.
That's what I'm saying. I think this one's more of a we didn't have any more games left.
We don't have another team in state either.
Well, you got Pitt. You got Pitt, Miami, the old Big East rivalry playing.
And Pitt beat them last year, right? Is that up north or is that down south?
It is down south.
Oh, okay. Miami played well last week.
Maryland, Penn State, is that a rivalry?
No.
Syracuse, Boston College.
Big East represent.
Texas, Kansas. I guess Texas, Kansas is a rivalry now since Kansas.
Why isn't Texas, Oklahoma this week? Why do they do that?
Because they play the Red River Shootout.
Okay, but Red River Shootout can apply after Thanksgiving.
Well, there's a couple other. I mean, there's other ones that have played already too. I mean,
I know, but usually that means they have another big rival to play at the end.
Yeah, I mean, like the world's largest outdoor cocktail party's already been played.
Yeah,
But
but Florida has Florida State
Florida
to
has
play.
Florida State.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and Georgia has Georgia Tech.
Tech.
I mean,
Good old
that
fashioned hate.
yeah, and that rivalry in terms of mileage is one of the closest in the country. That I mean, Atlanta to Athens is
Yeah.
a little over an hour, maybe.
This is when my many moons of playing NCAA football comes in handy because I know all of these
All the
rivals.
nicknames.
Yeah,
Which
like good
one's
old
the Oaken Bucket? I like that one.
the Oaken Bucket.
Probably something stupid in the Big Ten, but what's
It's a Big Ten.
the
It's a
Oaken
Big Ten.
Bucket?
I think it's I think it's Purdue.
Purdue, like Michigan State.
Purdue, Minnesota. I think.
Oh, Minnesota. Yeah.
Yeah. The Paul Bunyan statue.
Minnesota is still. What was the stat? I think Minnesota is still the only college football program to win 3 straight natties. I think they have. Minnesota has this crazy old stat that they hang their hat on. Kind of like Yankees fans. Oh, well, we have 27 World Series. Like, who cares? You haven't won one in 20 years. I know they won in 09 or whatever, but there's this crazy. I don't know. It's something like that. They're still the only team to win 3 straight, something like that. So obviously, Bama's looking to change that, but they're the only ones. So
good for the Gophers.
Good for the Gophers, right? Row the boat.
Row the boat, PJ Fleck. Row the boat.
All right. Did we miss any rivalries?
I'm just double check. Virginia Tech, Virginia. The Civil War, Oregon State.
I thought they already played that.
No.
Oh, I like Oregon in that game for sure. Virginia Tech. I like Virginia. Virginia Tech's weird this year too. Yeah. Virginia Tech's on that USC type of weird.
NC State, Carolina.
Yeah, is that the biggest one? I guess because they're all right there next to each other. Give me NC State. Carolina's played really well, but they just can't win. They can't. They took Syracuse to the brink. They took Duke to the brink. They've been so close in a lot of games, but I think they still have 1 win, right?
2.
They lost to ECU, Carolina.
They have 2 wins.
Oh, 2 wins. I thought you said who, not 2. No. Yeah, I mean it's been weird.
Carolina's the bucket is Minnesota, Wisconsin. They play this week.
That's okay. I'll take Wisconsin on that one.
Arizona State.
My preseason college football playoff team. Wisconsin.
Tennessee Vandy.
It's not a rivalry.
No.
It should be, but it's not. That'll be a good game, I think. I think Vandy gets them. Vandy gets them.
Yeah, I mean that's really.
Would that save Derek Mason? I don't know if he's really on the hot seat, but would that save him?
I don't know if he's on the hot seat. Rutgers, Michigan State. Why is that this weekend?
That'll be low scoring and not a rivalry. Also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rivalry weekend's cool though, and then we get Army Navy next week when Army can put it on them.
Yeah.
Army baby.
I got ties to both, but
yeah, but go Army beat Navy anyway. All right. What else?
Well, I'm go Army beat Navy now that my significant other's Army. So
that's right. Keep it close to home.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that's rivalry weekend for you. I don't think.
Do you got West Virginia taking down Oklahoma and ending this UCF level Kyler Murray campaign?
I guess since Will Greer is my Heisman winner, I guess.
I mean, my Heisman winner's only lost 1 game, but he's not going to win the Heisman.
Yeah.
Yeah. The preseason picks are always good to look back on.
Which
Tom Herman was my coach of the year, which looked good for like 3 weeks, and then it didn't.
Yeah, we should look back at that.
Who was your preseason coach of the year? Was it Holgerson?
Holgerson.
Yeah, that's possible.
It's possible. Not as likely.
Not probable, but it's possible.
It could.
Preseason Heisman for you was Greer. For me was Shea Patterson. College football playoff. We had we did each have Alabama Clemson in there, but after that got a little funky.
Yeah,
I had Washington. I had Washington and Wisconsin.
But who was your mulligan? We did mulligans. Who was your mulligan?
My mulligan, I guess I took out Washington because they lost week 1.
Yeah.
And then I put in. It wasn't Notre Dame who I put in. Who did I put in?
I don't know. I put in Notre Dame, and now it looks
Yeah,
like
you put in Notre Dame, which was a great pick.
Now it looks like my team that I took out for my mulligan and my mulligan team are going to get in because I took Michigan out.
I think that was my. I don't know.
But now it looks
I might have mulliganed Wisconsin for Michigan.
So now my mulligan might get in. My mulligan and my replacement might get in. So
who do you think gets in right now? Period. What you got?
Alabama,
college football playoff, go.
Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, Michigan.
So you got Michigan winning tomorrow and the Big Ten championship against mighty Northwestern.
Yeah, the Big Ten's trash.
It's like those years Missouri went to the SEC title game and Florida right after that. I mean, how bad has the SEC East been before last year? I mean, Florida and Missouri were like 4 of the last 5 SEC East champs. Think about that. I know the West won all of those, but still, how bad was that division? My goodness.
Yeah, that's the whole side. That's that whole side of the Big Ten. That whole side's trash.
Unbelievable. Yeah, like way to drop that ball, Wisconsin. You had
good job, Wisconsin.
You had a layup. Oh, missed.
Wisconsin has to win one game pretty much, and they can't do it.
Northwestern.
Good for Northwestern. I mean,
great for Northwestern. I remember first game of the season, I was actually in a hotel, and it was a Thursday, and it was Northwestern and Purdue, and I was like, man, I like both of these teams, but I definitely didn't think Purdue would beat Ohio State, and Northwestern would represent that side of the Big Ten. But here we are.
Here we are, and that's what's happening.
Unbelievable. So, college football is pretty great.
Yeah, man.
Yep. And I guess we have a bunch of it to watch today. So if there are there questions we missed there, producer? Probably. Chat's popping. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, I mean, it's gone back pretty far. Let's see.
Wanya Banks. Hashtag YOLO. That's the first one we got here. Forever on this recording. The first comment will be hashtag YOLO, as if it was 2009. Congratulations.
Air fried turkey #1.
Air fried turkey. What does that even mean? Do we know what that is? Is that a thing? Is that a Southern thing that I just missed?
That's that I got money and I got an air fryer.
What is it? What does that mean? It's suspended in air and magically fries? What do we got?
I don't know how it works.
Is there Skycam level of setup here?
You gotta ask him. And then
air dry.
Then later he says go Tampa Bay.
Well, he's a native Bay Area guy.
And then he proceeds to say Ole Miss is the personification of garbage.
Yeah, that's more like it.
There he is.
The personification of garbage by Wayne Banks.
So let's see. Would you take Neal or Clay Webb?
Me or Bama?
That's the question. Who would you take between Evan Neal or Clay Webb? If you could only take one.
That's very hard because they're so different. Before the season, I would have told you Clay Webb without much hesitation, but seeing the growth of Evan Neal, figuratively, not literally, has me in that direction. He is just the most badass high school captain that I've ever seen. I can't even describe where he was 2 years ago versus now. On the field, off the field, health, discipline, captaincy, physicality, technique, focus, drive, everything. This is a complete 180 transformation from Evan Neal, and he's going to be he should be the poster child for IMG Academy because he was the type of kid that if he wouldn't have went there, he'd still be a guy and he'd still have all these offers, but I don't know if he'd be this much of a priority for Alabama. I don't know if he would have figured it out this soon. He might have been one of those who Bama says no thanks to at some point, but he's really changed everything in the last few years. So I'd go Neal based off of those things, and that's not a shot to Clay Webb. He's just not that guy off of the field. He is more of an introvert. He is more of you tell me what to do and I'll get it done, and I'll get it done very well. but he's not going to rally will. And sometimes you need those guys. You can never have enough of those guys. Clay Webb is an accountable dude, but I just it's really an incompletion to know how well he holds others accountable. It's just something we haven't seen. Doesn't mean it's not there. We just haven't seen it. And we've seen Clay Webb in person as much as we've seen Evan Neal. So I feel like it's more there for Evan of what I've actually seen. So I would lean towards Evan Neal now. 6 months ago, it would have been Clay Webb without hesitation. So it's that close.
Yeah, me too. Have you seen DJ Williams out of Florida in person? Is he a possible backup plan for Sanders?
I was gonna go see Evan Neal. I like Evan Neal. Breaking news. I was gonna go see DJ Williams play last weekend, but then I realized his team had lost in the playoffs, and I could not physically go watch him play. So no, I did not see him this year. He's from Sebring, Florida, which is kind of in the middle of nowhere for me. So yeah, Xavier Lee, shout out. One of the most disappointing college players ever. I had not seen DJ though, but his tape is ridiculous. He's got that Josh Jacobs vibe going where he's a quarterback by default, but he's going to be a very good running back at the next level, big, strong, fast, all of those things. And he's the hottest late in the game running back recruit in America. He picked up offers from Auburn, Miami, Florida, Ole Miss, just a bunch of schools late. Took an Auburn official last weekend, I believe, and he's supposed to be at Miami this weekend. Bama went and watched him, but did not offer him a scholarship. So he's among those guys in the mix after Trey Sanders, but does not yet hold an offer from Alabama. He's currently committed to Appalachian State as well.
I know, poor Mountaineers, man.
Maybe they keep him. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. Yeah. Maybe this is an Ed Oliver thing. You know, I wouldn't. Florida kids, man, you don't rule out anything. And I don't know the kid. I've talked to him a few times, but he hasn't wavered on that commitment. He has not. Most of those kids who are G5 commits and they get 10 offers from Power 5 schools, decommits there. He hadn't done that yet. He hasn't even hinted at that yet. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but typically it already has in these scenarios. So that's a testament to Appalachian State, which is the best G5 team that people don't know about. And it's really not that close. They are a top 4 or 5 G5 team this year and really the last few years, but they don't get near the love that some others do. So shout out to App State. Heck of a recruiting department they have, talent identification and acquisition with DJ Williams. And obviously they are wishing it was December 19th so they could sign the kid, but they probably won't. So, but no offer from Bama yet. Good player. Watch his tape. All of that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the last one out of the live chat.
All right. Well, I guess we will start wrapping this thing up. We've been on what, over an hour, no?
Oh yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. So we'll see. We shall see. I guess we can say it. We are going to be live tomorrow. Not a surprise, but yes. Post Iron Bowl. Bring your tail back here, and we'll break it down. Win, lose, draw, what we're hearing in recruiting, although it'll be immediately after the game, so there shouldn't be any big returns other than somebody committing pregame, which I'm not ruling out. That wasn't a hint. I'm just not ruling it out. So we'll be back here on YouTube and on our channel. So please subscribe, hit the bell. Even if you are subscribed, hit the bell so you know when we're ready to go. And we really – again, we've made this very clear, but in case you're new, this is for you guys. We enjoy doing this. Me and Kev will do this anyway, but it's the holiday. Our families are with us for the most part. So we want to do this for you guys and gals. So come tomorrow. Be ready to talk and let us know what you want to talk about. Let us know the directions you would like to go, what elements of the game you would like to go into, just like you do with the Q&A here today. So just let us know, keep us posted, things like that. But come hang out because that's what we enjoy. We enjoy hanging out like we are right now, unplanned kind of going on there. So that's what we're about in case you didn't know that already. So we will be live following the Iron Bowl right back here on Crimson and Blue Chips on our YouTube channel. So please subscribe and again, hit that notification, the bell, so you know when we are going live, so you could jump in and not be like Timmy G, who was late to the party today. Yes.
Absolutely. And then if you haven't already, check us out on social media at CABC Pod on Instagram, at CABC Pod on Twitter, Crimson and Blue Chips on Facebook. And like John said, subscribe, notification bell, go ahead and smash them. And then that way smash them. That way you always know when we're coming to you. And
my mouse has been doing the thing where I smash it and it doesn't click. So I literally have to smash it.
Hulk smash.
About to smash some leftovers.
And then, yeah, me too. And then also just check out the website, crimsonandbluechips.com, for all our content that we've been putting up there. So,
all right. And that'll do it. We'll get off here, let you get back to your day. Thank you guys and gals for stopping by once again. For producer Kev, John Garcia Jr. here. God bless. CABC crew. We're out.
Bye.